dreams by year 4 or 5 in college. So you have to recruit that way too, though. You have to be able to sit there and say, hey, man, you have to value the place, right? You have to put all your value into what USC can do for you and how we're going to develop you. And I think that's what we're doing right now here.
Welcome to the Put on Waivers Media Group, home of the Put on Raiders podcast and the Student Body Right podcast. This is your place for the best breakdowns and the best insight for those who fight on and bleed silver and black. Now, here are your hosts, Dwayne Douglas and Ryan Holmes.
Notre Dame.
Yep.
Somehow it's always on us about this game. So it's just weird. It's like a weird thing about that. So USC has tried to extend it for one more year. And with the ever-changing landscape of college football, I think it is smart to kind of go like a one year, situation and just keep it. And before you sign a 15-year deal, like we don't know what's gonna happen. And then USC also has the situation where they're playing in the Big Ten, and then they are playing whoever they want in Notre Dame, which I'm sure is nobody's ever dawned on the fact that they should join the conference, but I'm not. That's a whole different show. What are your thoughts about how this is being handled and everything like that? Do you feel like you fear the game going away? It's probably the biggest thing. And what have you heard so far about what's going on with USC and Notre Dame in the future?
Yeah, I don't know if you do too, but I tell USC fans all the time, like, if college football hates USC, like, enjoy the smoke. Like, that's the way it should be, right? Like, everyone hating USC means USC is
exactly.
doing something right. If all of America and all of college football is ganging up on USC, that means USC is scaring college football and doing something right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anyone wants to see this game go away. I don't care what anyone says about, Lincoln Riley's tepid comments. I think everyone reads into things way too much. I think he wants the game to stay. I think Jen Cohen wants the game to stay. It's good for college football. But in my belief, I think it would be malpractice as a coach if you're not looking to do what's best for your program.
Yes.
And there are absolute benefits of the Notre Dame game, obviously tradition, the pageantry, the history, all that stuff. It's just a good football game, two good football teams. But USC playing 9 conference games, the 3 non-conference, having Notre Dame as one of them, having to play a Big Ten championship game, which Notre Dame will never play a conference championship game. So that's a bloodbath extra game.
Yeah.
And then now there being 4 to 5 plus maybe an additional 1 or 2 more down the line college football game. You're talking about an 18 to 20 game season.
Yeah.
And so it would be malpractice as a coach to be like, yeah, let's just play another essential Big Ten team in late November when everyone else is playing cupcakes. And based on what I've heard is USC offered the 1-year extension so they could figure out scheduling to be able to play Notre Dame at the beginning of the season. They still want the game. But if you play them in week 1 or 2, similar to how they always have played Stanford in previous years, you get to save your bodies and save your players for that grueling stretch in November, because it's coaching malpractice to tell your guys who have already played 11 games, 8 games, 9 games to be like, now we got to go to South Bend. And then after South Bend, we're going to go to play UCLA in the rivalry game. And then after UCLA, we got to go play either Ohio State or Oregon or Michigan for the Big Ten championship. Oh, and then we get an SEC team in the first round of the playoffs. And then it just wouldn't make any sense. Like, you wouldn't be doing your job if you were saying that's what's best for us. So I think that piece of it to me isn't fair, the criticism USC is getting. But at the end of the day, no one wants the game to go. It's great for college football. It's a great rivalry. Obviously, 95 appearances between these two storied programs.
All the pro players that go from those two teams.
Pro players, the championships, the coaching legends. And I got nothing but respect for Morgan, their head coach. I always want to say Morgan Freeman. Obviously, he's not Morgan Freeman. Their head coach. I think he's a phenomenal coach, but he's sitting in a very different seat when he can say what he says about the game versus Lincoln Riley. Because when you handpick your schedule and you don't play in a conference, you don't have to play a conference championship game. The stakes are a lot different.
It's easier to come on social media and say we'll play them anytime, anywhere. When you know that's not the case. My father always told me in negotiating, You're asking me to do something that you won't do.
Yeah.
It's just that's the way it looks at as far as that goes. Tremaine Carroll comes in, a new strength and conditioning coach. Talks to some folks out there, and they just they've been raving about the K State folks who rave about him. What kind of impact does he have? Because obviously this is we're just trying to get bigger, stronger, and be able to handle the rigors of the entire season. And I think Chad Bowen, I don't know if Chad Bowen directly said it, but somebody talked about part of it. The fourth quarter losses were they're attributing a little bit to hey, we got to make sure we're physically ready to handle games in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, you could see it last year. I think the physical part of it was that they changed course so close to the season and getting bigger and more physical, and then part of it they just didn't have the depth, which I think they'll have now. But I think Tremaine Carroll was a phenomenal hire. Everything we've heard out of Kansas State is that was like a huge loss to them. Like they are. When a program's talking about a strength coach as like a massive loss to your program, like that's how highly it speaks. Because I mean, yes, they're a strength and conditioning coach, but they're an extension of your coaching staff. They're maybe the second most important person of the coaching staff when you think of the head coach, and then you look at position coaches because they have their hands on the actual like bodies of these student athletes and how they're going to perform down the stretch. It's not just play calling. It's not scheme. Like they're actually like, who's going to be physically fit to go to war on Saturdays and get this done. So I'm excited to talk to him and meet him. I haven't had the chance to yet, but everything we've heard is it's a rigorous strength program.
Yes, I've heard
all
of
the kids
too.
talking about how sore they are and how tough it is. But rave reviews, just saying we see the vision, we see the strategy, and I think that's all anyone wants is to know like exactly the path forward instead of kind of like, oh, we're hemming and hawing, we're doing this, we're trying this. It's like, no, this is the way forward. This is what's going to work. And obviously the proof is in the pudding when Kansas State, say what you want about their program, but Big 12 championship, they've been in the title game, 3 of the last 4 years or something.
And they put it, and they put, I mean, we also on this channel, we also do a Raiders show, stuff on this channel as well. And like they send, and we do the draft a lot. They send people to the pros. So it's a good program. No question about it. We can go back and forth. A lot of us go back and forth on Jaden Mayava. When Nico was available, the people were screaming, "Go get Nico!" Stuff like that. Whatever. I looked at the last year's playoff and I said to myself, maybe college football is more of the team game and the NFL is like more of the star quarterback game. Because if you look at the guys who made the playoff last year, I didn't see a lot of great. I mean, you had the kid, I forgot his name from Ohio State, and then you had Riley Leonard in the championship game. Like a lot of teams did not have great quarterback, but they had quarterbacks who just didn't turn the ball over, which can be an issue with some of the decision making that he's made. We can't forget about the in the bowl game, the backwards pass he threw, stuff like that, which was nuts. But this is opportunity here for him. He has the arm strength. He has some legs. What are your thoughts about him going forward here and Lincoln Riley's thought process with Jaden Mayava in year 2?
Yeah, I mean this is kind of like you feel like, and I agree with your point that it's college football is becoming more of a team. Well, not more becoming more. It's always been, but like a team game, and you can kind of overcome quarterback play in college much more than you can in the pros. But it still feels like this team is gonna ride or die with their quarterback play. Like if they get good quarterback play, this is a 9-10 win team. If it's like last year's quarterback play, this could be another 7-8 win team potentially. I don't know if it's going to be that, but Mayava obviously a very polarizing topic just because of the kind of up and down games. I think what's exciting, Dwayne, and I'm sure you would agree, like there's some plays he makes, the arm talent that he has when he throws it.
Yes.
I mean, it looks effortless. Some of those throws are effortless. And I love that he's a gunslinger. Like I love the no fear and kind of making those throws. But, and this will be Lincoln Riley's biggest task, is like knowing when's the right time to be a gunslinger and when's not. And, obviously we know about the pick sixes in the Notre Dame game and obviously the 3 interceptions in the Texas A&M game. But then look at the second half and you see like the upside that could be there. So Lincoln Riley said it a bunch. If we can count out the negative plays, then this is a really good quarterback that's going to win a lot of football games for us. That's an easy statement to say. Obviously, that's kind of what quarterback play is. Like, don't throw picks and you're going to be a lot better. But I think what it speaks to is there's so much upside there that the potential is super high. And the fact that even to this day, I mean, I just saw Josh Pate, who I really respect,
Yeah, I
his
saw
like
that.
Big Ten rankings has Miami at like 7.
I saw that.
I don't agree with that just because I think the upside is so high.
Yeah,
So if he gets things under control, the fact, Dwayne, that I think USC is going to have maybe their best running game that we've seen in the Lincoln Riley era with the additions they made in Wayman Jordan and Eli Sanders and obviously Brian Jackson. If the offensive line play is improved, which we saw down the stretch, and I love what we're seeing from Coach Zach Hanson and what they're doing with that room. So Jaden Ive is going to have everything at his disposal. If he just kind of plays smart football and knows when to take those risky throws, then I think he can have a really good season. And luckily, last thing I'll say is all indications are Husan Longstreet's looked fantastic as a freshman. Now, there's no plan to start him as a freshman,
yes,
but if he's there to push Jaden Mayava and basically threaten his job, that's only going to
yeah.
be better for the program and better for the offense moving forward.
And this is a 100% a life-changing season for Jaden Mayava because if he does well here, I mean he's gonna get drafted. I mean, and it could, I mean, even if you're an NFL backup, you're making buku bucks, and your family is solidified for a long period of time. And I think to your point too is like I love the running game, the running backs they've had in the Lincoln Riley era at USC, but.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's hard because because he's a junior college guy and we haven't seen him yet, but everybody, even national folks, are getting on Wayman Jordan now. And I cannot, and we cannot, I can't wait to the first game in the Coliseum to see him run the football. We know about the Lemon, we know about Lane. Who was going to be the third guy? Like, say, because I know last year, unfortunately, Lemon got hurt in the Michigan game. He was out for a little bit. Last year they had a lot of depth. This year, who do you think if somebody had to step in for a couple of games, is it Sims? Is it Prince? Who will be the guy who kind of steps in at the wide receiver spot?
Yeah, two guys I'm looking at. I love the incoming freshman class, as you mentioned, Sims and some of those guys. I think it's probably a little early. We'll see a ton of them. We just haven't seen, like, with Lincoln Riley's tenure, like, freshmen get a ton of play at receiver. Doesn't mean it won't happen, but we just have never seen it, even with Jacoby Lane, and Zach Branch was the one outlier. But I love, you mentioned Prince Strachan from Boise State. I think he was a super underrated transfer. I think he has a huge opportunity to kind of be that wide receiver 3, good body type. And the other guy that was a freshman last year that got no play because he was a freshman, so everyone kind of forgot. But Xavier Jordan, I think, could really pop this year if he can kind of live up to the hype that he was. I mean, he was a highly touted recruit out of SoCal and has a lot of talent. So I think he's a guy that we could see get more of as the season goes on and kind of get stronger as the season goes on and get more run and play. But I definitely think, Prince Strachan is a guy that I'd look for. And even a guy like Jay Fair, I think, can be in this offense. I mean, he's obviously just a burn guy, but he wasn't really able to get on the field last year because they were, and I don't want to say this disrespectfully, but they were trying so hard to involve Zachariah Branch, and it just did not work last year like it did his freshman year. But he was taking touches away from Zay Fair because they're very similar type skill sets. So now with him gone, I think we'll see Jay Fair a little bit more involved in the offense.
We're getting to the point where, I think where we want to take advantage of the Danton Lynn years.
Yeah,
because he's very talented, and I just saw somebody post a thing about the top. Somebody posted the top 50 defensive coordinators in college football, and he wasn't even in it. That was hilarious. But we all know better. Like, we want to take advantage of this opportunity here because he's not here. He's not going to be here forever. So, thoughts about him second year? It seems like he has the bodies he needs to get going. And if you have guys, if you have like Lucas, if you got Cam, if Cam comes through on the edge and get some pass rush without having the blitz, this could be a really good a third down team here.
Yeah, I mean, to me, bias aside, I think Dan Lynn's a top 15 defensive coordinator in college football. You could probably go top 10. He's turned 2 programs around in single seasons. I mean, UCLA turned around in 1 year, a top 11 program, and USC turned around in 1 year. And this year is just going to be, I think, even a more extraordinary jump. And he was very candid when we talked to him last month and really just said, like, we just didn't have the depth last year. Like, we didn't have the horses to go into the fourth quarter down the stretch. I mean, you look at that defensive line, how hard those guys played, but after the top 3, there was nobody. I mean, they were just gassed because they had no rotation. And this year, with the depth they have and the ability to hopefully hold those trenches, with the additions they made in Jad Jarrett and Keyshawn Silver, but then obviously in guys that are just coming back, as you alluded to. And then you got, Jade Abasari, I think is going to have a huge jump in his sophomore season. We didn't even see Carlin Jones last year, another big
Yep.
body dude out of Texas that's going to be a sophomore. And so I think we'll see a lot of big jumps from these kids. And so, his system, his scheme, his ability to communicate with the players, I talk all the time about he looks for guys that are versatile that can play all over. So that allows you to run different schemes and put guys in different positions and kind of move safeties into the box and whatnot. So yeah, I think they're due for a huge even adjustment or huge improvement even from last year because
Yeah.
of year two of his scheme and coaching, but also the bodies and depth that they've added to allow them to be more versatile with that down the stretch.
You've been gracious with your time. I got a couple more before you go. A couple guys on a couple guys, breakout guys you feel like on defense and offense for SC. You think guys who are going to just really kind of get people really excited this year who may be a little bit under the radar.
Yeah, that it's a good question. I think there's a lot of options. The secondary is going to be intriguing just because of how many
Yes.
starters they lost. And one guy that I think they kept kind of talking of, or I'll say a few guys that Doug Bell kept talking about specifically. I think Christian Pierce
Yeah.
is a dude we'll see play a lot. He was, a special teamer last year, but really didn't see him on defense. And just glowing reviews of him and how he's picked up the defense and just that big body. He was always known as like a heavy hitter coming out of high school, but now his ability to cover and kind of his intelligence within the defense, I think we'll see Christian Pierce. Prophet Brown, another guy, they love his versatility, a name that's been known, but we just haven't seen a ton of, but I think we'll see him kind of play more into the defense a lot this year. And a guy similar in that in terms of versatility that gets named a lot, Anthony Beaver is now playing linebacker.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be really interesting. I think he's at like 205 I saw now, so put on a lot of weight and to be able to play the position. And I think those, when you look at the secondary and obviously Beavers now being in the linebacking room, kind of three guys that have put the work in, paid their dues, and now should really have the opportunity, I think, to do some big things for them.
Real quick, so the last two are going to be just a two-part one. You got Oregon, you got at Oregon, you got at Notre Dame, you got at Nebraska, at Illinois. Can they go 2-2 in those 4 games?
Big stretch.
Yeah, big stretch. And then some of these games they do have bye weeks before some of these games, which is I think is very important for USC and Lincoln. Like what do you want to see from Lincoln this year? I think a lot of people want to see him put the ball in the belly of the running backs a lot, but what do you want to see from him?
Yeah. It's going to be a big stretch. I believe they can go 2-2 for sure. Illinois is one of those teams. It's really underrated around kind of the public eye, but a lot of the analysts are really putting them actually at the high ranks for the Big Ten. I think they can do some good things. Illinois, so that's a tougher game than it may appear. But I think they can certainly get the job done there. Nebraska is going to be a hard as hell place to play. I mean, Lincoln at that stadium, Memorial Stadium, is one of the toughest places in college football to play. But I do think the losses of Tony White and some of their losses that they sustained in the transfer portal, I think USC could get that done for sure. And then obviously Oregon, Notre Dame are rivalry games that, anything can go, but I think they go 2-2 for sure. And then, with Lincoln Riley, yeah, I think you kind of hit the head there, like put a little more trust in the running game. You have a really strong 3-headed attack with Jordan, with Wayman Jordan, with Eli Sanders as your kind of burner, and then Brian Jackson, who I think is a phenomenal underrated running back that's going to get a lot more touches than maybe people think. So putting trust in that running game to take the pressure off of Jaden Mayava, but then also some of that creativity. We saw a few of those plays against Penn State, some of those kind of I don't even want to call them trick plays, but just really creative plays that got different players involved, that sprung open maybe tight end plays or stuff. And that's what made him such a offensive kind of guru and genius and really made him a head football coach at 32 years old or whenever he took over at Oklahoma. So I think seeing some of that creativity instead of just running, 5 wide and letting your quarterback air it out, I think taking the pressure off with that. And I think last thing I'll say, I think we're going to see a lot more 12 personnel in this year's offense than we've seen in the past. I mean, they ran a lot of 10 personnel last year with no tight ends and 5 wide.
Yeah.
I think now with the talent at tight end, we'll see a lot more 12 personnel, which not only gives you the opportunity to run the football more and be strategic that way, but also utilize some of these great tight ends that they have, and kind of implementing a tight end heavy scheme with Mark Bowman coming to town, then one of the top recruits in the nation. You want to obviously show that you're going to use the tight end position a lot more in the passing game. So I think we'll see a differentiation in that as well.
Yeah, I thought Walker Lyons got a lot of valuable snaps last year, as well. So, listen, thank you for joining us here on the Student Body Right USC podcast. I really appreciate it. You gave us a lot of time, gave us a lot of insight. I think my last thing is like, I just want to see, a kicker I can trust. Hopefully the kid from UNLV can come through, because I think every year I think we get a kicker who can actually. I think we're gonna get better and better at kicker, and the games could be really close. So I obviously special teams comes to a hedge as well as that goes. So all right, man, keep up the good work. We'll see you next time. Take care, brother.
Thanks, man. Appreciate the time.
Yep.